important and very beautiful that you should be looking at. And to look at an important person, an important sight, an important source of wisdom may be vague at first, but at least our vision, our drishti, our focus, the object of our focus should be ascertained to be that person. I am not looking at that person. I am too distracted. I don't even know that I am distracted. But once the vision of this important person is pointed out, then my old habits surface as a distraction. So at first, the vision of Ishvara is very vague. In the analogy, the stage may be not very near to me. I'm sitting in the back, and someone has to point out, this is what you should be looking at. Similarly here also, the introduction to Ishvara is very vague at first. So vague, in fact, that I think of Ishvara as being separate from me, somewhere in places of pilgrimage or in temples. And here my vision of Ishvara in going to the pilgrimages and temples is very limited, because I visit a temple or a pilgrimage for a short time, and I cannot even carry the memory of that. This is how short-lived. So this is a very vague vision of Ishvara. The clearness of this vision comes when the Shastra tells us, please appreciate Ishvara, Brahman, as nothing but yourself. Yourself, both in terms of the relative you. The relative you is you combined with the scene in front of you, conditioned by the scene, and you, which is unconditioned by the scene in front of you, the same person. Just like when you were a child, you are the same person. You have grown in your youth, in your middle age, you are the same person. In your last life, when you had a different set of family and the scene in front of you was totally different, you are the same person. When you dream, you are the same person. So see the vision of this person. Independent of time, unmoving. This is an important person, a very beautiful person. An amazing person. So the Shastra says, please stop looking at trivial things. Grow up. You've been playing with electronic games and toys for too long. Turn your gaze towards an important person, a very beautiful, amazing person. Even though your vision, your understanding may be vague at first, but at least turn your gaze towards this important person. Stop looking around. Who is sitting next to you? What games are the other people playing? Leave that aside. And yes, I understand that for you to appreciate the person, the important person, may take a while. The message of that person might take a while. But until you turn your gaze towards that person, you're not gaining something for your future. So the message of Shastra, which I meditate on, is to take the direction given in appreciating this amazing person. Again and again, as much as possible. And there will come a time when you will be totally preoccupied by appreciating this person who is none other than yourself. you will feel, how could I miss that person? So this is the study of Vedanta. In essence, I meditate upon turning my attention away from inconsequential distractions to looking at someone who has lasting value in my life, who will set me free. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shrutismritipurananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashyakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Gukarastvandakaro Vai Rukarastvan Nivartakaha Andakara Nirodhitvat Gururitya Vidhiyate Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Na antah pragyam na bahish pragyam na ubhayatah pragyam na pragyana ghanam na pragyam adrishtam avyavaharyam agrahyam alakshanam achintyam avyapadeshyam ekatma pratyayasaram prapancha upashamam shantam shivam advaitam chaturtham manyante sa atma sa vigyeyah. So just as we were seeing in the meditation, this important verse is saying the same thing. Sa atma sa vigneya. So atma vigneya means that it is worth knowing. And so it's the trick of this whole creation is very interesting. The trick of the whole creation is that you feel there is you are not worth knowing. You're not worth knowing because you see yourself along with your situation. Meaning that you see yourself as someone that took birth and has the various aspects associated with it, the body, the mind, and aspects meaning the limitations of it. That the body is slowly deteriorating. The mind has problems in the sense that it is you want to be happy, but the mind doesn't let you do it. All of a sudden, you are in a bad mood, and the getting into a bad mood is a very frustrating thing because you think you are doing okay, you are very happy and well adjusted, but all of a sudden, somehow darkness comes in your mind, and that condition of the mind has really a broader implication because, of course, you don't like being not in a good mood, in a grumpy mood. Everybody else can also see it. But the fact that you cannot control it is even worse. So anyway, all those kinds of things that happen. And then, of course, you know that every time you attend a funeral, you know this is going to happen to you. And it's not that far away, it's coming closer. And so really you are totally preoccupied by the limitations of yourself as a person. So in this preoccupation, if somebody says Atma is worth knowing, you don't even listen to that. You say it's not worth knowing. Just leave me alone. I'm struggling with my life and dealing with my situation as best as I can. And by the way, this is the same situation with everybody else. Supposing you and your friend decide to have a coffee and you have a heart-to-heart talk. And then some of the individual situations may be different. You know, your husbands are different, their families are different, your children may or may not care for you. All those are maybe differences. But the similarities of the situation are the same. And then you say, is there and they all confirm with each other that we are in a bad shape. We are going to disappear and I don't know what's happening, and so on. So what I'm saying is that in the midst of all this, if the Shastra comes up and says, Sa Atma Sa Vijñaya, you say, what? What is worth knowing? Worth knowing is you go to some kind of a pilgrimage. That is worth knowing Ishvara for a short time, maybe a half hour, and so on. But other than that, I don't understand this. This is what this Shastra is saying. Please, you're overlooking. Please give up your self-censorship. You don't censure censure yourself for a while. Just listen to this. There's something very beautiful, very important, something amazing, as we were saying in the meditation. Look into that. And in order to do that, what you need to do, this is because it is vidya, it is knowledge. Because you have a false impression of yourself. Because you're looking at yourself from a distracted, from a relative standpoint, very much like room space. You're looking at yourself as a room space within upadhi. Look at yourself without the upadhi. And I think some of the acharyas say this is very true, that your Atma without the upadhi is so powerful and so well lighted. It is like looking into the sun. In Ishavasya Upanishad it says in one of the later verses, we did not study this when we took Ishavasya Upanishad, that please allow me to look at the splendor. What happens is that I am like an owl that has closed my eyes to the splendor of the sun. I can only open it in the middle of the night when there is only a little bit of light. But the eyes of the owl are deliberately made very sensitive. But during the day, it cannot even open the eyes. It sees darkness, as we can too. If you close your eyes, you see darkness. So very similar to that, the Atma is so powerful and has such splendor that I cannot look at it. Words just glaze over me. I don't understand it. Kind of like your mind returns, comes back, unappreciated. So the nature of vidya, nature of knowledge, as well as the nature of looking at something which is very subtle, is this. You have to prepare yourself for the knowledge, and you have to prepare looking at the subtle thing with the right amount of instrumentation. I mean, even now, for example, supposing you're looking at the table, because you don't have the instruments to look at it, the fact that, forget about the table, look at your hand. This is even better example. So when you look at your hand, you have no idea how many millions of things are crawling on your skin. Ishvara is very kind, really speaking. If you knew all those bugs that are all over your body, not only inside in your tummy, leave aside that, but just on the skin, you will, I don't know what we will do. You'll be horrified because you cannot get rid of it. Somebody else's, you will say, just get away from me. But your own body, you cannot get away from me. Anyway, that's a separate thing. But the thing is that for me to appreciate the subtlety of all the things that are consisting in my body, I have to use the right instrument. And similarly, to learn the knowledge, I have to understand something very subtle, like quantum mechanics. You cannot just do it within a year. You have to prepare yourself. Basic biology, basic physics, basic chemistry, and mathematics. And slowly you come to a point, then it becomes very clear. So looking at the Atma is exactly like this. It is so powerful and has such splendor that you cannot afford to look at it. And yet, this is what we have to do. Because we have spent countless lives, really countless, wasting our time. Family, situations, sukha dukkha, trivial things. I mean, I was on this fascinating, really. You go to these trips and cruises and so on. You just watch people. Just watch people. And how they are just so involved with trivial things. I mean, there was this one trip that I can't remember. All these countries are the same. I think it was in Latvia. So this tour guide, and so you go get this bus and you're looking at to see what's. So and this tour guide was saying, I want to tell you about the differences in door styles that have come across in the last few hundred years. I am not kidding you, she spent 1 hour on this. She was telling us about this. On the right-hand side of this door, the wood is slightly different. On the left, and everybody else was saying, wow, this is so good. And I'm sitting there saying, so what? I don't understand this. This is a fascinating thing, really. But it's not just there, or I'm just saying that, and then people loved it. Just this, everybody was saying, wow, what a wonderful tour it was. This was a great history, and so on and so forth. It's fascinating. And you know what, we've been doing this for ages, so many lives. And we continue to do that. Small situations, new cars, new friends, sometimes new spouses. Something the other keeps changing. And the real person that needs to be looked at, we never look at it. That's just so amazing. So, really speaking, I think we just have to, it's not as, so it's not as, everybody has the same person. Atma is the same for everyone. The only difference is in preparation. That's it. Slowly, slowly. If you happen to see someone saying, look into this, this is amazing. And the only thing that distracts us is we don't believe that person. So what is there for the Atma? Let me just continue to lead my life. Anyway, so this sa Atma savigneyaha. Savigneyaha means it is worth knowing. This is Swami Maheswaranji pointed this out very clearly in some other examples, that it is worth knowing, worth concentrating on. And at first it looks very vague, as I said in the meditation, but slowly it comes into focus. And then it is just incredible, because there is nothing like it. And so the preparation for that is given in this Nishedha Vakyam. Nishedha Vakyam means that it is not a Vidhi Vakyam. Vidhi Vakyam is a positive story, but Nishedha Vakyam is a negative way of looking at it. Here Swami Maheswaranji gives a very good example. He said, so it's the same, Ek Atma Pratyaya Sara Prapancha Upashamam Shantam Shivam Advaitam. It'll all come in a minute, but he gave a beautiful example. He says, suppose you, and those of us that are from India and we traveled in these crowded trains, we can appreciate that. And so I think many of you can appreciate that, especially if you got into a train in the middle of the night when there is 2 minutes left. And so the whole family, I'm sure that we can all relate to that. And so what happens is the mother and father and the children, they're at some smaller station, not the big ones like Kanpur and Chennai. Chennai, of course, is the start, but some smaller stations where the train stays for 2 minutes. And you don't know where your bogie is going to come. So you try to ask the coolie that where is the second class compartment? And he says, sir, it is right here. And the second class compartment has gone past you as it goes. And the parents are frantic. They've got luggage and the coolie and so on and so forth. Somehow or the other you get in. And as soon as you get in, it is too crowded. You cannot get in. And somehow you got in. And somehow you got in and the train starts. Now everybody is sleeping. There's a big mota person who you cannot disturb. He's already sleeping on this, and you've got children and so on. And you say please take your seat and sit down so you can also sit down. This is the picture Swami Maheswaranji paints. So there you need space. This is what you need. Somehow or the other, you gather enough courage and say, "Sir, can you please move so that we can also sit?" Another person is not very happy. He's already sleeping and so on. So anyway, so on and so forth. Now, Mahishananji says, you do not order space and company on your cell phone. You don't order that. Why? Because it is already there. All you need to do is to remove someone occupying that space. You don't order like you order a meal. In these days, I understand that meals can be ordered very much on the trains. So you order a meal. There's something positive that comes in, roti and dal and some, sabzi and so on. But space you don't order. You don't need to order because it is already there. So therefore, this na antah pragyam, na bahish pragyam, na ubhayatah pragyam, na pragyanaganam, na pragyam, na apragyam, adrishtam, advyavaharyam is to remove the distractions. Is like a big fellow sitting there. This is an important thing, when you say, like, for example, na bahish pragyam. So just look at that. Na antah pragyam, na bahish pragyam. So what it means is that you are sitting there with someone occupying your space. And who is occupying your space? Your understanding of yourself as a jagrat vastu, as an awaking person. Because when you have an awakening, you're distracted with situations, relationships. This is what it is. This is the person who is occupying your space. And if you remove that space, you don't have to have Atma that needs to be ordered. It's already there. Already there. This is why Nishedha Vakyam is really what is used. Why? Because the Atma doesn't need to be created. It is just cut up. That's all. It is just somebody's occupying it, allowing you not to appreciate. Because once, so this is what happens. After a while, you get your family situated and you yourself sit on some box or something like this, and very soon the journey becomes very comfortable, and some of those people leave also. Now you can occupy the space. So this is exactly like this. So this is what is called Nishedha Vakyam. So Nanta Pragyam. Anyway, we have done pretty much all of that. Just a quick one. So I think the last time we just said that Achintyam Avyapadeshyam. So our first preoccupation is, where is it? Where is the Atma that you talk about? Where is it? How do I find it? Where is Ishvara? Because Ishvara and Atma are one and the same. One and the same. And where is it? So we keep looking for outside. And both in terms of a person who is Isha, one who's the controller, who I want to submit to, like for example going to a pilgrimage and so on, Rama, Krishna, and all of those vigrahas and so on. So not only that, but even myself as a person who is capable of understanding the Atma. That also I am not able to look at. Both of them I am not able to look at. The reason for that is that I am so preoccupied in antah pragyam, bahish pragyam, uvataya pragyam, na pragyam. So he says, and so with the end of that, what is left? So adrishtam, avyavaharyam, agrahyam, alakshanam, achintyam. So here now is an important thing, because this is the distinction, by the way, between Hinduism and Buddhism. Because Buddhism also says this is mithya, this is mithya, this is mithya, this is mithya. Buddhism, of course, came much later. They also, because the Hinduism, the Vedic knowledge has been there from the very beginning. But someone decided this is not very clear, so I think the best way to do that is, and so whether it was Gautama Buddha or we don't know. But the way Buddhism is practiced now, they only negate. So they feel nothing is left, and nothingness is pleasure, is happiness. We do not agree with that. Because mithya means it must be a aberration of satya. Something must be left behind. You cannot have zero left behind. And in fact, that is the case. So all the ornamentation of the gold, etc., are based on the gold. You may remove all of the ornamentation, but you cannot remove the gold. So similarly here also, adrishtam avyavaharyam agrahyam alakshanam achintyam avapdevshyam, then comes ekatma pratyaya saram. So there we should appreciate that in and through all of my experiences, it is me, the consciousness, a conscious entity. Not only a conscious entity, but also Satyam, Jnanam and Anantam. Because when you say conscious entity, obviously this is an English translation. Consciousness, awareness. So when you use an English word, consciousness, awareness, so immediately it signals a property. I am conscious. I am unconscious. So it means something which I possess. That's not the sense of it. Really, consciousness means jnanam, knowledge. And also another thing, we will probably discuss it some other time. It can also be seen as the content of an experience. This is not because what happens is usually the word experience is not used in this sense very much, which in Sanskritam is called anubhava. Anubhava means a sense of this is that this is. So the content of an experience is also ekatma pratyaya sara. What you experience may be different, but the very unchanging experience itself is you. This is a very beautiful thing to meditate on, really. That I am. The amness of myself never goes. So Satyam never goes. And what happens is that the Satyam is misconstrued by a mind that is not yet made subtle. How? What do I mean by that? Because when you say something is, when you say a ring is, so a ring is not, and then a bangle is. So the isness goes with the ring or the bangle. What I don't quite understand is that the isness is borrowed by the ring or the bracelet or something from the gold. So the isness never goes, but the shape goes, so the shape changes. Similarly, here also, when I say you are, he is, she is, I am, and so the isness of myself and others is stolen from the Atma, which is nothing but isness. So if you carry the analysis all the way through, you find that the isness never goes. And that's me. I am the very nature of isness. I am the very nature of experience. I am the very anubhava, the very content of the anubhava. And what I experience may be changing, but the experience itself remains the same. This has to be appreciated. That is the truth, and not yet appreciated by me. And so if I prepare my mind and at least remove it from all the distraction, antah pragyam, nabahish pragyam, etc., it's already there. So this is what is called ekatma pratyaya saram. So this is the essence. Saram means the essence. An essence of ekatma pratyaya. Ekatma pratyaya means I am. It is the essence of all the experiences as I am. I am. So here Swami Maheswaranji said, he poses this question. If it is the essence of all the experiences, then it must be very complicated? No. Prapancha upashamam. Prapancha means complexity. All the differences. So, any experience, for example, is very complicated. You're looking at people, your mind becomes active, your reactions to the situation. A number of things are happening. This is all part of the experience. And so if it is the very essence of the experience, that means that it has all those complexities in it? No. By itself, it is prapancha upashama. All the complexities are gone. Like all the ornamentation, the shapes, etc. It can be without all the shapes. It is just gold itself. Solid gold. So, prapancha upashamam. And that means, so what is the purpose of it? Why should I do this? Shantam. Shantam means peacefulness. The most attractive thing that I want is to be peaceful. So peacefulness means I am non-wanting. I don't have any reason to change. Everything else is okay with me. I'm okay by myself. Peaceful. This is what we all want. If you look at the purpose of the whole life, whatever you do, the purpose is to be peaceful. When you're hungry, very hungry, and you want a good meal, after the good meal, you're peaceful. When you're tired, you go to sleep, you're peaceful. When you have a desire to go and see something, after you see something, at that time you're peaceful. Peaceful, peaceful. This is what we are all aiming towards, using all kinds of equipment, all kinds of situations and so on in order to be peaceful. And that is the very nature of the Atma. But because I don't understand that very well, I become unpeaceful. Swami Maheswaranji gives this beautiful example. Swami Dharanji had given exactly the same example. He said, there was, so people become unpeaceful in order to become peaceful. So you are very busy doing this, that, or the other, and so on. But in the end, it is just being yourself, isn't it? So this Swami Maheswaranji gives the same example that Swami Dayananji had given also. Beautiful example. These must be very popular ones that all, because they never, I don't think they ever even met each other. So anyway, this is how they connected together. So the example is that there is a mendicant, a sadhu, who goes from place to place to get some, food from, and from our stand also. I remember when I was growing up, then early in the morning the sadhu will knock on the door and ask, and then the people know exactly what to give them and so on. So this is done. So there was a new daughter-in-law in the house, and so she was new to the house, and so in the backyard this sadhu came and knocked on the door, and she opened the door and says, "What is it that you want?" He says, you know what I want. I just want some food." She says, "There's no food. Just quick. We don't believe in that." She didn't know the whole thing, and so she closed the door. The guy said, "Okay, somebody new," and so on. So he started walking around. In the meantime, the mother-in-law says, "Who was it?" She says, "There was some fakir, some sadhu was sick." So she came out and called him back and said, come back. So the fellow was saying, "Oh, this is so wonderful now that she's..." So he says, "What did you want?" He says, "I'm hungry." He says, "Why do you always ask for sick? Go away." So the sadhu said, "But that's what your daughter-in-law said." So she said, "She has no right to send you away. I'm the one that has sent you away. I just want to prove it to her." So Swami Maheswaranji says this is exactly our situation, that we become unpeaceful in order to become peaceful. And so you ask someone, why are you doing all this? He says, "Just so that we can be peaceful." You're already peaceful. And the Maheswaranji gives another example. He said, in the when we had independence, everybody said, we must learn English, because even now it is going on. We must know English, and so everybody they forgot their native languages and so on, and everybody is studying English and so on. Now the thing is, if you don't know Sanskrit, you have not done anything. So go back to the study. So now the leaders are saying, "We are so great, we are going back to our original thing." Hey, you were there originally to begin with. You imported English so that now you're going back to the same thing as you were before. Anyway, the essence of this is that, this is the interesting thing. I feel if I'm already peaceful, then others feel that this guy is not doing anything. So I've got to do a lot of things, and mutually you'll say at the end of that you want to become peaceful. You're already peaceful. But I feel I have to do something in order to become peaceful. So anyway, this is the explanation of the word Shantam. And Shantam, by the way, is the same as Shivam. So Shivam, the essence of the English translation of Shivan, which could be purity, is peacefulness. Is peaceful. Advaitam, which is next one. Advaitam means that there is nothing to distract from it. There is no competition to Shivam. If there is some distraction, if there is some non-peacefulness,
that is just a superimposition on it. It does not compete with Shivam. Superimposition means that it has a level of reality which is lower. Why? Because, so for example, the ornamentation has a level of reality which is lower than that of the gold. So yes, you can enjoy the ornamentation, the shape of it, and so on, but it's a lower reality. So similarly, the Shivam is Advaitam because the Dvaitam is mithya. It is not there is not two Satyams. If there were two Satyams, then we can say there is really Dvaitam, duality. But this is not duality. So this is not Paramarthika Dvaitam. This is just a sort of like a play on it. So the Shivam Advaitam Prapancha Upashamam Ekatma Pratyaya Saram alone is the Satya. And it is peaceful. And it is possible that you may enjoy non-peacefulness, music, dance, and so on and so forth. But the peacefulness never really distracts, is never distracted from it, if you choose to. So enjoy it. There's no problem. In fact, eventually the mature and the real samadhi, and in fact, as we talked about in the meditation also and later on also, the vision of Ishvara, the vision of Brahman, the vision of Atma is not taken over by action. It is not taken over by any sense of limitation. Why not? So this needs to be very clear. So it is not as though you are required to sit with your eyes closed to appreciate the Atma. Not required. In fact, it is preferred not to do so. In the beginning, you may want to just create a situation where you can appreciate that you are okay the way you are, without any distractions. But the real samadhi, this is what is called sahaja samadhi. Sahaja samadhi means that it is not difficult, not contrived. It is natural. That samadhi means that even when you are looking at things, even when you are actively involved with things, you don't lose the Atma. So the state would be when you're looking at, let's say, a person, that person is your Atma plus the shape of that person. When you are looking at a situation, it is your Atma and the Upadhi is that situation. So that way of looking at it means that you should see that the Atma never disappears. It is not replaced. If it were that, it would be Dvaitam. But it is Advaitam. Because this is a very interesting thing that really Bhagwan has made this. I really appreciate this. This eyelid is a very beautiful thing. Because all of a sudden you can eliminate everything by just closing your eyes. That is incredible. And your Atma is still there with your eyes closed, darkness. And you open your eyes, the Atma is still there with the open eyes, with the picture. And then Atma never disappears. And not only the Atma, but the the very nature of the Atma, the Shivam, Advaitam. So this has to be seen. So going back to it, the Shivam is the essence of the entire creation. And sometimes this Triputi is used. So Shivam and Shakti and Vishnu. So in this sense, this Triputi is also used. So there, Vishnu is considered to be the Upadana Karanam. Is the very material of things, material of what you are experiencing, the Pancha Mahabhutas. This is what Vishnu can be, which is pervasive all over. Same combination. So Akasha, Vayu, Prithvi, Apaha, and Agni, all of these five. That is the essence of Vishnu. Then Shakti is the ability to create things out of this Upadana Karana. And both Vishnu and Shakti, the very Adhara, the very Adhikarana, the very essence of that is Shivam. And Shivam means Chetana Vastu. So Upadana Karanam can be the creation of the material, but the very essence of it, in fact, the very essence of the whole world is nothing but Jnanam. This is Chetana Vastu, which is Shiva. So the three of them, Shivam, Shiva, Vishnu, and Shakti, together create this whole thing. And whence it is all Upashamam, only remaining Shiva. It's kind of like, when you have, when you're looking at an ocean, especially a kind of an angry ocean, you find there's so much activity, so much going on with waves and foam and so on and so forth. But none of them are intrinsic. What is intrinsic is just the water itself. So that is the Shivam, and which is nothing but you. So that is what is talked about it here. Chaturtham manyante means that you have all the three that we saw before, which is Jagrita Avastha, Swapna Avastha, Karana Avastha, the Sushupti Avastha, and the fourth one, which is considered to be the fourth, but it is not the fourth. It is really the essence of all the other three. Chaturtham manyante sa atma sabhigyeya. It is worth knowing. So this is the important verse, and often quoted by the acharyas and so on. So I think we have taken another look at that as a revision. Let's see, what time is it? 9:50. Good. I think we have enough time to go on. So now we go back to the Karika. So the Karika, which we saw, was there were 9 Karikas before the verse 7, then the verse 7, and then the Karikas now continue on this book on page 4 with Karika number 10. And so I won't spend a lot of time because we have done all of this. This is a revision. So now Gaudapada the author of this Karika. By the way, you should, I think, just as a reminder, in the entire literature of Vedanta, there's only one Karika. Only one Karika, which is by Gaudapada. This is how well it is respected. And of course, Gaudapada is, as you know, the teacher's teacher of Shankara. And so this is where they say that, it is said that Shankara is a very important middle person to connect. But they say that Gaudapada was the one who really reinitiated the Vedas in the modern. And so this will happen again and again. So it's a revival where it is clearly pointed out, tied to the experience of human beings and so on. So it's a very important link in that sense, highly regarded. So the Karika is really worth studying in that sense. So with that background, let's go to, and by the way, I should also point out that I gave you an assignment, and I hope when you have time, please do so. I know Shrida has already given me his, I think you did 12 or 15 or something? Anyway, he's already submitted his, and I haven't had the time myself, and I will really publish in a sort of like a modern version of this Karika in English translation. But I would like you to do all. If you don't have the time, then wait for Mai to come, but I would rather you all make an attempt at it. It's because this English is kind of an old English, and sometimes probably not even done by just some Pandita, is not a student of Vedanta, so not that good of a translation. But we should retranslate that in our own language. Anyway, number 10. Nivrittehe sarva dukkhanam ishanah prabhu avyayah advaitah sarva bhavanam devah turyo vibhusmritaha. So if you could at least look at the translation, the all-pervading vibhusmritaha. So vibhuhu is the all-pervading. Vibhida bhavati means it is there in all possible situations. Like I said, the Atma is in all views, all experiences. I just miss it because I get preoccupied by looking at the experience, but it is there. And the more you start to put the attention towards the Atma and not the upadhis, you appreciate, my gosh, I am there all the time. Same person. This is the vibhu. The all-pervading is traditionally known as turiya. Turyoho vibhusmritaha. Vibhu is just called the fourth one. I think I told you the story, didn't I? When I read the word turiya, I'm reminded of this. This is about, I can't remember, I think about 15 years back. So my friend Radha, no, I think it was somebody else, I forget who it was. Anyway, so I got an email from someone saying that I met this Christian pastor and she wants to understand this word turiya. I think I told you this story. And so, can you please meet with her? So I sent her an email saying, I'm told that you're very interested in this turiya, and then we can meet sometime. So she was a pastor of a Christian church in Cupertino. She's still there. I've forgotten exactly where she is. He says, oh, that's wonderful. Then let's please spend an hour in between my services, and if you can come, I would appreciate it. So I went there, and I was somebody opened the door, and then I was given a seat, and she came in, and so on. And then she says, okay, I'm ready to learn about the turiya. So now I said, where do I start? So I don't know what I did. I just started with something, Satyam Jnanam or something like this. And then I went through the same thing and so on and so forth. And I could tell this woman is not getting it. She was saying, but this is the fourth one. The fourth one, how is it the fourth one? So I said, it's really not the fourth, it is the common thing. I gave her examples about the gold and so on and so forth. But it's funny, these are simple things that people should be able to appreciate, but I could tell from it, she was very polite. She says, oh, that's wonderful, I like, this is good. Didn't go anywhere. She says, can I contact you later for some? I said, lovely. No contact, no nothing. So anyway, so chaturtham minyante, turyoho vibhus smritaha, all pervading, traditionally known as turiya. Then nivrittehe sarva dukkhana, an important thing. And so, why is this such an important person to look at? Why is it an amazing and a beautiful person? For the reason that if you understand and look at it and focus on your attention on it, then it is capable of crossing over all problems that you may have. And I was just reading recently, there is a Brihadaranyaka thing which says, Kim icchan kapsya kamaya shariram anusanjvaret. So there is a section in the Panchadashi where this section from Brihadaranyaka is explained in great detail, and by Swami Maheshananji and Swami Vidyananda and Swami Vidyaranya. So we'll probably come to that. But there, what it said is, Shariram anusanjvaret. Shariram anusanjaret means that all your bodily problems just completely disappear. Bodily problems are three in nature, because there are three bodies all of us have. One is a physical body, and we all know the problems of the physical body. All the imbalances and the fact that we can any kind of diseases. This is the physical body. Then the mind has its own problems. As we saw earlier, all of a sudden the mood changes. All of a sudden desires, I must do this. Then the whole thing changes. You have to just follow the mind. Frustrations, etc. Some good things with a lot of it. Then the Karana Sharira has its own problem. Because the Karana Sharira, you are incapable of looking at the Atma. You are the Atma, but you don't know it. And you have no way of understanding the Atma, because your mind is not there, your body is not there, your trial and things that you can do in your Jagrata Avastha are not there. And yet you are devoid of knowledge. So Karana Avastha is also there. But in Turiya, it means that none of these bodily problems are there. This is the beauty of knowing the Atma. Nivrittehe sarva dukkhanam Ishanaha Prabhu Avyayaha. So, I'm looking at Ishanaha. So there's no English translation for powerful, immutable, non-dual, not clear. So Ishanaha means So, no, Turiya is of course the main one, but the word Ishanaha, which is the same as Ishvaraha. Ishanaha is Ishvaraha. And so it is worth pausing and just remembering one thing. That the way Ishanaha means the one who rules, one whose order prevails, one who's the boss. No one can cut that person's order and power and so on. This is the Ishvaraha. So one should see that, as we have discussed this already, I'm just revising this, that there are two kinds of Ishanaha. One kind of Ishanaha, which is through force and stick. So carrot and stick. This stick part is one Ishanaha. And so, for example, in the Second World War, when the Nazis ruled over things, they had soldiers all over the place. I was as part of this trip, we went to Berlin for one day. That was a very interesting thing because from a historical standpoint, on East Berlin and North and West Berlin. So what happened was, just to give you a historical context on that, when the Germany was divided after the Second World War between the Western powers and also Soviet Russia, they decided to make a division in Berlin also. So what I didn't realize was that in the beginning, the Berliners from east and west could easily cross over. So there was a family staying in here and they would work on the east one and come back in the evening. Okay, so for the next 2 years or so, everything was kind of like flexible. Then what happened was that because of the rule of the Soviet Russians, people didn't like being bossed around by them. So what they did was, slowly they started migrating towards the western part of Berlin. So the Soviets took a little while to understand. They finally realized that if this goes on, there will be nobody left on that side. They are all going voluntarily to the other side. So they said, let's stop it. So overnight, they put some soldiers on the other side and saying, you cannot cross now. You cannot. And then they started building the wall. So this is what happened. And so this is one way of ruling by force. This is called Ishana. And Swami Maheshananji so articulately pointed this out. There is another way of ruling. And that ruling is by the power of what you are doing. And so the best example of that is a magnet. So the magnet doesn't mean that it has to force the iron filings to cling to it. Just the very nature of itself means that people will be attracted towards it. And do you know what the magnet is? I talked about this. Can anybody tell me what the magnet that Ishvara uses to rule the whole world? There's one word for it. Which one?
Love.
Ananda. Ananda. Everyone is, and this is actually also the etymological meaning of the word Rama and Krishna. So please understand this. So Ramante iti Rama and Akarshati iti Krishna. So the Rama is not just a historical person, which it could be as an avatara, but it is you and I as the very Ananda. So the whole Ishanaha is done through Ananda, because people's attitudes, their actions, their relationships are all based on mutual Ananda. not mutual even, just their own individual ananda, which is the same ananda. So really speaking, this is the thing. Just coming in from this word itself is so significant, as Gaudapada chose to do this, that explaining the seventh verse, which is Nanta Pragya, etc., the essence of that, which is the Ekatma Pratyasaram Prapancha Upashamam Shantam Shivam Advaitam Atma, is the Ishana. It is the nature of Ananda. So Satyam Jnanam Anantam, or Shivam Sundaram, or Satchit Anandaha. So this Anandaha is the very nature of myself. And I'm seeking it, but I'm confused about it. This is why I have become Ashantam, so that I can become Shantam. And so this is the word Ishanaha. So Ishvara, in that sense, I think Swami Dayanand used to say that, and Swami Chinmayananda used to say that, I remember that, yes, sorry, Swami Chinmayananda used to say that. He said, it's as though Ishvara has created the world and completely automated it, and it runs by itself. How does it run by itself? Because everyone is interested in Ananda. Common. Even a little ant is just basically just Ananda. This is what is called Ishana. Very beautiful explanation of Ishana, Ishvaraha, which is Prabhu. Prabhu. Avyayaha means that it's never the same. It's not as though in the old days people were not seeking Ananda. Nowadays it's in fashion. The essence of the whole thing is nothing but Ananda, and which is Prabhu. Prabhu means that this is the Prakarshena Bhavati, means very, very obvious, very true. Prabhu. Anyway, so more words on Prabhu, I won't have time to do that. But anyway, so Nivrittehe Sarva Dukkhanam Ishanaha Prabhu Avyayaha Advaitaha Sarva Bhavanam Devaha. So Swami Maheswaranji pointed out the word Devaha is the same as Shivaha. Dyotana Atmakaha, one which is in the nature of Chetana Vastu. And the same thing that was used in the seventh one, which is Shivam, is now given in this word, Devaha. Means that Ishvara is in the form of Chaitanyam. And there's only one Chaitanyam. There's not two Chaitanyam, which is the I, which is the Atma. So with that, I'll stop here and allow for some discussion or questions. Om Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Ko Brahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanyaha Prithvi Sasya Shalini Deshoyam Shobharahitaha Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hare Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Okay, we'll see you next week.
Understood today. Truly understood Nimrod Sarva Dukha. Benefits of Japan.